My head coach gave a long form interview yesterday, Cart. Dusty May was on I believe, the Defend the Block podcast.
Defend the block? Is that like a defend the logo pun?
Hold on, let me find this. Defend the. Yeah, Dusty May was on the Defend the Block podcast yesterday. It was like a 30-minute interview. I listened to it, and God, I'm forgetting the guy's name. Is it Brian Bosch? Yeah,
Yeah,
Brian Bosch was the
Brian
host.
Bosch.
So it's a great interview. Dusty like speaking in extreme detail about this roster that he's put together and how it came together this offseason. I love that Dusty does stuff like this. He's always very transparent with the media and what's going on. It's a fun look into why some of these decisions came together. I mean, he talked very pointedly about why did they move off of Trey Donaldson to Elliot Cadeau. He talked very pointedly about the front court decisions they made, why it made sense to take a risk on Yaxel and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One interesting thing I want to isolate from this and talk through with you that I don't know. I found this to be one of the more compelling things he talked about. He was speaking on both Morez Johnson and Aday Mara, two guys that have been brought in that do two very different things, two guys that Dusty himself says they were extremely familiar with. And in the end of his summarization of Morez and Aday, he mentioned that they're both going to be competing minutes at the five. They'll probably split minutes there alongside Yaxel Lendeborg. But the quote at the end of this was that both guys are going to play huge roles on this team. That doesn't seem super straightforward to me because I think they're competing for one spot for the most part. Maybe it's a 20-20 minute split, but going to be interesting trying to keep both happy with the 20-20 minute split at one position. Dusty said, quote, obviously each year you're in college basketball, your role is probably going to grow. We're going to lean on both those guys to play big roles on both sides of the basketball. When he spoke on Morez, he said it was an extremely expedited recruiting process. He knew what he was looking for. I think we fit a lot of criteria of who he is. And then Aday Mara, he said when you watched Aday play the last half of the year, he really took his game to another level, had some really, really bright moments. He's gassing up both these guys, then leading up to the conclusion, we're going to play both in huge roles. Is that possible? Do you believe Dusty May?
I don't think well, I guess I'm putting a little bit more stock into the word huge role here because one, he spoke about the expedited process with Morez, and we have a lot of the things he's looking for. I don't think Morez was looking for a 50-50 minute split at the five.
Right.
So that doesn't really align with me. So that's interesting to hear. I'm calling a little bit of cap on that one. Um, and I think in an ideal world, one of those guys is in a huge role, and then one of those guys is in more of like a supplement, like a good role, right? But I guess the huge word is what does it for me. Now as as basketball really goes, we've seen games where like Aday Mara can't stay out of foul trouble, and Morez can't stay out of foul trouble. Morez is having trouble defending. There's going to be games where I think minutes flip with these two guys, and it'll be beneficial for Michigan to have both, I think, at certain points. But doesn't make me feel better about Michigan as a basketball team if the plan is for a 50-50 split at the five.
So the front court is fascinating because I think this is the best or second best front court in the sport with Yaxel in the fold. I think Yaxel's basically a college one of one archetype. There's not really another guy at the four as dynamic as him. Then you've got two centers that do two very different things. Morez is just uber productive, and I adore his game. Mara is the upside shot, where he hasn't lived up to this at all. He was in a bad system for him defensively, being asked to get out on the perimeter and hedge instead of play drop at UCLA. There's reasons to believe in both. I mean, we saw what Morez looked like as a starter. He was uber productive last year. UCLA was 10-1 when Aday Mara played 15 or more minutes. They were awesome when Ademar was on the court, and he was never on the court because he didn't do what Mick Cronin wanted him to do defensively. So the hard part for me is this. To your point, when you're trying to envision like how do both of these guys play big roles, with Yaxel in the fold, it's hard to see it as possible. And we know with both of these guys, and you could even throw Elliot Cadeau into the mix, we have data at this point that all of these guys, at bare minimum, have gone through stretches where they've been unhappy in their previous situations, right? Like, I'll just call this point blank card. If this was an Illinois roster they put together, I'd probably be sitting here being like, no way you can keep these guys happy. This video is brought to you by NBA 2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh,
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's. That's New
New
York.
York. Well,
Bang.
that's New Jersey.
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's it's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college football 26. Back to the video. So I got to be real and own up to that with my own program, too. Morez Johnson left Illinois when he would have played a bunch of minutes next to Tom Ivicic. And now he's in a situation where he's competing with Aday Mara for one spot next to a superstar who's never going to come off the floor in Yaxel. Like, Morez better win the spot. Otherwise, I can't imagine Morez will be happy.
Yeah,
And if Aday Mara is coming off the bench, then he's in the same role he was at UCLA that he ultimately vacated. So I don't know. It's interesting. Obviously, Dusty's saying the right things. You have to say, yeah, they're huge parts of this team. They're going to play. But like on court, I don't really see a way these guys exceed like maybe 48 minutes. You could probably play Morez like a few minutes backing up Yaxel next to Mara. But that's it, right? Like, is there any world where these guys are both playing enormous minutes together?
I don't think so. I just don't see it. Not, or if that does happen, I feel like something went awry.
What happens if both of them hit and we're looking at a world where these are the three best players on Michigan? Because that's at least an outcome, right? Like Yaxel's the best player, Morez is the second best guy on the team. Maybe Aday is third. It probably means the backcourt didn't take a leap, but like there's a
Does it
world.
also, does it also mean that Dusty pivots and like is doing like some Yaxel at the three?
Well, I was gonna say, couldn't Yaxel play the three?
Holy hell, that team could not shoot.
Not even with like Namari and I mean I'm trying to get creative here, but like what if you put
Is Cadeau on the floor?
it would probably require you take Cadeau off.
Okay.
But what if you ran Namari and Trey McKenney with Yaxel as like the Danny Wolf point guard, Morez and Mara both in the front court together. You
That
got
may be
options, right?
it may be fun. That also might stink.
You think it would stink.
I
So
think
what's the
maybe.
outcome here then? What's the likely outcome?
I think one of those two, I think the likely outcome is that it's Morez or a day, like on given any day or night.
Fast
Uh,
fast forward a year because both have multiple years of eligibility. Is Michigan keeping both of them? Is it possible for Dusty May to keep both happy given the roster he's now built with Yaxel at the four?
See, now that's a fun point. Maybe he's playing the long game here because you're looking at a front court next year. That's Morez and a day.
The only way it works for me where you keep everybody happy is if Morez is the big minutes guy and Mara's off the bench. Because you could convince me that Mara doesn't love basketball that much. Like Mara just wants to be in like a fun situation, make some money.
Yeah. Also, Mara could be on Illinois next season.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe that's the player to be named later in our Morez trade. We'll see.